Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Essential Album video. We're now on week 28, and this week we're taking a look at Art of Doubt by Metric, first released September 21st, 2018. Some notable tracks off this album include Dark Saturday, Now or Never Now, Risk, and Dress to Suppress. So I've been a fan of Metric, I guess basically since 2010. I think they kind of started out probably like well before then. But 2003, I think, is when they put out their first album. And like I said, I first heard of them in 2010 when they were on the soundtrack to Scott Pilgrim versus the World with their song Black Sheep. So in that same year, I heard another Metric song. So up to this point in 2010, I only really knew two songs by them. The first one was Black Sheep off of Scott Pilgrim. And then toward the end of that year, in Rock Band 3, one of their songs off, I think off their first record, Combat Baby, was included on Rock Band 3. So that was the second Metric song I heard. And then I eventually just went around and picked up to that point, all of their music. So let me actually just bring up their discography, because like I think it was, let me just pull this open here. I think Old World Underground is their first. Just see here, let me check their discography out. Yeah, so there is Old World Underground, Where Are You Now in 2003. That's the one that Combat Baby is off of. Then there's Live It Out in 2005, Grow Up and Blow Away in 2007, and Fantasies in 2009. So I basically went out and picked up those first four albums and really enjoyed them. I think out of those four, I think Fantasies is probably my favorite, followed by, I really have a soft spot for Grow Up and Blow Away. That's probably my second favorite out of those initial four. And then, in my opinion, after Fantasies, they kind of went into a slump for a little bit, with Synthetica and Pagans in Vegas. So Synthetica, I think, is pretty good. It's just not as good as some of their earlier stuff. And I think probably my least favorite album from them is Pagans in Vegas. So that was, what was it called? Let me see, bring it up here. Oh yeah, Synthetica, it came out in 2012, and Pagans in Vegas is 2015. And then, like I said, I kind of didn't particularly care as much for those two albums. And that was basically 2012, 2015. And a few years later, they put out Art of Doubt, which kind of, in my opinion, broke that slump, because Art of Doubt, I think, is one of their best albums. Probably in my top three. I would probably say Fantasies, Grow Up and Blow Away, and Art of Doubt are probably my three favorite. After that, I really like Live It Out as well. But yeah, Art of Doubt is just a great kind of return to form based off of, like, because they kind of went with a more like synth heavy, not necessarily heavy, but Synthetica and Pagans in Vegas went a little more into the electronic realm. There is some of that still in Art of Doubt, but it feels like they kind of went back to kind of what made Fantasies work so well with that style of music. Anyhow, I have my notes here. We're going to get through those notes, and then we will get to our track list and all of that. Pull this out here. So again, Art of Doubt by Metric, first released September 21st, 2018. This is their seventh studio album. The producer of this is Justin Meldal-Johnsen. And one album that I didn't know he had produced until doing research for this video was Paramore's After Laughter album. That actually got recommended to me by a coworker last year. And After Laughter by Paramore is kind of like, goes against kind of what, it's more of a pop record, but it's a really good record from Paramore. So that album, Art of Doubt and that were produced by the same producer. After Pagans in Vegas came out, I've ended up seeing Metric live 4 times, 3 times as a headlining act, and once as an opening act. So the first time I saw them was in 2016, which I think was the tour for Pagans in Vegas. Saw them in 2016. Then a few years later, Saw them in 2019. I think they were touring Art of Doubt at that time. And then I think the next time I saw them was in 2022, and I think they were touring. Probably going to mispronounce this name, but I think it was like Fermentia, or it's the name of that album. And then the last time I saw them was in 2023, and they were an opening act, and they were opening for Noel Gallagher and Garbage. So that was that dual headlining tour by Noel Gallagher and Garbage, and Metric, at least at the show that I went to, was the opening act for that show. But yeah, that is actually it for the notes. We're now going to move into our track list here. Let's see here, not our track list, our reviews. So I think this reviewed fairly well, but it's a little kind of in the middle. But Metacritic has it at a 73 out of 100. AllMusic has it at a 4 out of 5. It has a B- from the AV Club. Consequence of Sound has it at a C+. Exclaim has it at an 8 out of 10. NME gave it a 4 out of 5. Now Magazine also has it at a 4 out of 5. A 6.6 from, what is that, Pitchfork. We have a 7 out of 10 from Pop Matters and a 7 out of 10 from Under the Radar. When it came out, I think it peaked at number 95 on the Billboard 200, so it's like kind of right in the middle. And I kind of always have felt that Metric is kind of not necessarily wouldn't say it's a mainstream band. I think if you're a fan of Metric, you're a fan, but they're not, really like topping the charts or anything like that. But yeah, they're one of my favorite bands, and I'm really glad that they were featured in the soundtrack to Scott Pilgrim versus the World, because without that movie, I probably would have no idea who this band was. I mean, I probably would have heard of them eventually, but it wouldn't have been probably when I first started listening to them. So that soundtrack kind of that was my gateway to this band. So now we're going to jump into our track list here. What do we got here? 12 tracks, and it comes in at 58 minutes and 16 seconds, so a little under an hour. Track 1 is Dark Saturday. That was the first single they released for that. I think they put that out like a few months before the album actually came out. Dark Saturday is a great track. Track 12. Track 2 is Love You Back. That's pretty good. Track 3 is Die Happy. Track 4, one of my favorite tracks on the album, is Now or Never Now. That actually might be my favorite. So it's either between that and Risk. But anyhow, track 4 is Now or Never Now. Track 5, title track on the album, is Art of Doubt. Track 6 is Underline the Black. That one is also incredible. Track 7 is Dress to Suppress. That's another great one. Track 8 is Risk. Risk is really good. I think like my favorite, like I said, is either going to be Now or Never Now or Risk on this album. After that, we move to track 9 with 7 Rules. Track 10 is Holding Out. Track 11 is Anticipate. And then closing it out, track 12 is No Lights on the Horizon. And yeah, this is a really good album. I wonder, that has a 73 out of 100 on Metacritic. Let me compare that to the previous album, which was Pagans in Vegas, which I think, like I said earlier, is probably my least favorite album from them. Yeah, Metacritic has Pagans in Vegas at a 65 out of 100. So yeah, definitely. Let me see how it reviewed here. Reception on this. Yeah, so I think like they said, it was kind of average. Pagans in Vegas is kind of like they jump into a more of a new wave direction on that one. So yeah, Pagans in Vegas is just kind of okay. Synthetic, I think, is better than Pagans in Vegas, but you can definitely tell there was like a kind of, in my opinion, a downward trend with those two albums before they kind of turned it back around with Art of Doubt. And then both Fermentia and Fermentia 2, which are, I think Fermentia 2 is still their most recent album. Those ones are actually really good. So they basically, I don't think they're as good as Art of Doubt, but they're both pretty fantastic. So that is going to do it for this video. I highly recommend checking this album out. It's quite good. But yeah, that's going to do it for now. So remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one.